miles from home, and Nate has gotten a flat tire. I'm trying to pump it up to see, since we are pretty close to home. Back on me. I'm trying to pump it up a bit to see if, since we are relatively close to home, if it'll hold air well enough for us to make it without me having to work on his tire. Because it will be getting dark soon, and it's looking a bit cloudy. It's been looking like it could rain at any moment for quite some time. I can hear the air coming out, so I don't know how useful that's going to be. Hey everybody, welcome back to another fantastic episode of Ready to Die Fighting. I'm Chris, and today I'm working on Nate's bike. As you saw, we went on a 15-mile bike ride last night to get ice cream, because that's the sort of thing we do. You wanted ice cream? Actually, that's not true. I wanted to go on a long bike ride. I wanted to try to push the boy and myself a little bit, see how far we could go. Actually, I didn't want to see how far we could go. I knew we could go, we could probably go 30, 45 miles in a single day. But do we actually want to? How difficult will it be? That sort of thing. How motivated are we to do that? But I was like, let's see if we can do like maybe 15 to 20 miles. And so I found an ice cream place that was about 7.5 miles away. So round trip, we did 15 miles, and that was a great way to motivate him to actually want to go that far, because he actually just wanted to watch TV. So that's what we did. It was a great way to get some exercise and test out some new gear that we got. I had recently done some repairs to his his brakes, and I think something else. Oh yeah, worked on his gears a little bit. And so, just test all that stuff out. And I'm really trying to get him comfortable riding in traffic. And I think we're at that point. He seems to be pretty comfortable and confident with the cars going by him, and before that was a bit of a challenge for him. He would kind of freak out even with just a little bit of traffic, and we were on some pretty busy roads, and he did great. And so there's lots of layers to this stuff, but along the way we were about 2.5 miles from home on our way back, and he got a flat tire, and we were actually able to just pump it up, and I think we had to pump it up maybe twice, and we were able to get home. By the time we got home, we were like maybe like a block, just like a couple blocks from the house. It was basically flat, but he rode it out, and we made it before it got dark, and so that was fantastic. So we're getting ready to go on another bike ride with some friends today, which that'll probably be about 9 miles, which this should be easier. It's not as windy today, and it's this is at a bike park, so there's like some nice hills that we can coast a bit. This was just straight pedaling through the wind, and so it was a little bit difficult, but this is really good because it'll kind of test, can we go the distance 2 days in a row? Which, if we were trying to bug out by bike, that's what it would be like, right? So let's get to the meat of this video. I've got my this is my kit that I carry with me. I've done a video on this before. I already showed you the contents. I've talked about it before. And I'm going to actually just put a new tube in here because I keep extra tubes. But I'm also going to patch this up because I don't think the hole is that big. At least I'm assuming it's not. And I could probably just patch it, and there's no reason to throw it out. Unless I get this thing open, but I don't believe the hole is that big. So I really like these Pedro's bike levers, but I'm going to set them aside because this Alien tool has built-in levers, and I kind of want to test it out and see how that works. I'm already pretty sure that a bird landed right on my umbrella. How rude. I'm already pretty sure that I don't like them, but let's see if I can get this camera. a good spot for you guys. Alright, so today I didn't bother to put it on the stand because, well, one, I want to show you that you don't need a stand to work on the bike, but also, this is just fine. I've already decided I don't like this. This is awkward to hold to me, and then I have to try to take this off. I'm not going to use these. I mean, if I had nothing else, it would probably work just fine. You basically just take this hook, peel your wheel back as much as you can. You know, when it's completely flat, it is definitely easier. But it still works even if it's not. You know, you can kind of pry that in there, and what you usually need to do is you have one in there if the tire is full, and kind of hold that in place. And so I'm going to use the picture. So you go like this, stick that in there, and you can usually get that one in there. And what you do is you can just hook it onto the spoke like that, so it stays in place for you, and kind of do a hands-free. And then you can put the second lever in, and that makes it easier. And then you just slide it along, and it should just pop right out. You just go all the way around. And now this is loose. Now I probably should take this tire off actually. And so I'm just going to loosen the chain. Take that off. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. And just loosen both sides. And I usually don't take it all the way off. Just loosening up is typically enough. And then try to work this off. Kick that out of the way. Oh, I forgot. You will probably need to loosen your brakes. That will, you can just pop the, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. There we go. To get it out. And the back tire, or wheel, sorry, will definitely take a little bit more finagling than the front one, since that's where you got the chain and kickstand and cassette and everything. But I always do that. Alright, so now that this is loose, we can get the inner tube out. Just peels out like that. And pull the valve out, and there we go. And now we have a mostly flat tube. Now it still is holding some air, so that leads me to believe that the hole isn't massive. And when I was pumping this up last night, it did seem that the hole was, it did seem to be near the valve as I was pumping it. I'm probably not gonna hear anything coming out. But let's put the new tube in first, and then we'll go back to that. So you want to make sure you got the correct size. I'm using the slime because it's self-sealing, so that seems like a good idea to me. So this is the same concept behind like the tubeless tires. So you've got this fluid in here. I'm not sure what you want to call it exactly. Some kind of polymer or whatever. And what happens is, as you're riding, if there's small punctures, this fluid will seal the puncture so that you can just keep riding, you know, as it spins. You want to make sure you get the correct size. So we've got a 26-inch tire, and it has the Schrader valve. So you want to pay for that. Pay attention to that. So there's Schrader and Presta. My new bike has the Presta valves, which is a lot smaller, and this is the Schrader. And so you want to pay attention to that because the opening to the rim is going to be for a certain size. And so you want to make sure, if you've got a, say, like a Presta rim, and you try to put a Schrader one in there, it may not fit. And your bike pump, you want to make sure is correct. A lot of them do both, but not always. So let's open this bad boy up. So this is the bike pump that we bring with us on our bike rides. It's made by Schwinn, and I like it because it does have an adapter, so you can use it for the Presta or the Schrader valves. And the other thing I like about it is it has a gauge on it, which is nice. And then you can also turn this and do that, and so that makes it really easy. So you have like a little foot pedal thing there, so you can step on that or whatever, and you got this T type of handle, and it does make it a lot easier to pump, and so I think that's fantastic. And so this thing came in, we used it, I think 3 or 4 times yesterday, because my tire was actually a little low. It was low for road use. For mountain biking use, it was probably fine, but for road use it was low, and so I ended up pumping mine up a little bit just to make it a little easier, smoother ride. And then Nate's went flat, so I don't know why I folded that back up, because I was about to use it. And so I do think it's a little bit easier to put just a little bit of air in there. So you just put it on there, flip the cap up to kind of lock it in place, and then just put a little bit of air in there so it holds its shape some, you know. Yeah, just want to have enough that it kind of holds its shape. It makes it a little bit easier, in my opinion. And now we're just gonna put the valve into the opening. Actually, let's see. And just kind of shove this. Oh, he came off. Fine. We'll do it that way then. Well, since it's off, might not be a bad idea to kind of look at it and see if there's any big tears or anything. I don't believe there is. I think it's fine, but I'm just going to kind of look at it anyway. Yeah, it's still a good tire, for sure. A little worn, but I think it's fine. Now at this point, you're kind of just putting it in here, and then you'll have to get it seated, which is a little bit of a pain, but it's not the end of the world. And so now, I just kind of squeeze and pinch everything, try to get it back on this track. In the beginning, it's pretty easy. But then as you get towards completing your circle, it can be a little tricky to put on there. You might have some resistance, but that actually wasn't bad at all. And so now it's in there. And then I just make sure it's all looking good. And yeah, we're good. So now we can pump it up. Here it is. Now this is definitely best done with a floor pump. But this is what we got. And I may very well go out and buy a floor pump today. I never bothered though. I always just use this thing. Now, I was taught to pump it up, and you got the gauge here, and I think what he did was he went up to, I can't remember now, but the man who taught me how to repair tires, like do the patches and whatnot, and the inner tubes, he always pumped it up part of the way first. I can't remember what PSI he would go to. I want to say like 25. And then he would let the air out a bit, like kind of back it off. You know, just kind of like making sure it was seated on there. And wasn't going to pop or anything. Like everything was just kind of going in the way it was supposed to, making sure the patch, if you were patching it, wasn't gonna like blow up and fly off or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. And so he'd bump it up to like, yeah, I think it was like around 20, 25, and then stop there. And I believe he let some of the air out, and then he would pump it again, and then put it up to the recommended PSI. And you know what to pump it up to by, it should say on the tire someplace. So it says inflate to 50 psi, and so that's what we inflate it to. So that's right about 20. Everything seems fine to me. So I don't think I'm going to let the air out. But I think at this point I will put the tire back on. And that goes the same way. You just do the opposite. Now, if you notice on the wheel, it also should say someplace, or on the tire, sorry. Yeah, there's a rotation and an arrow so that you know which way to put the tire on. And hopefully I did it right. I wasn't paying attention. Whoopsie. So let's see. If the tire, we're going. Oh, I did it backwards. Because if you're riding, it goes that way, right? So you pedal. Which way do you pedal? It's upside down. It's hard for me to figure out. So there we go. So that seems to all be routed nicely. Going smooth, perfect, excellent. And now I can tighten these up. And so I usually just kind of tighten that by hand at first. just so that it kind of stays put. And might want to give it just a little bit more if you are nervous about it falling off. And then I usually flip it over and actually sit on it as I tighten it to make sure that it's like really in there and not coming out as I tighten. So let's do that. Put some weight on it as I tighten these up. Righty tighty. There we go. Donezo. Now this definitely needs more air in the tire, but the bike park we're going to has floor pumps, and so to save myself a little bit of effort, I'm just gonna pump it up the rest of the way there. Now, the other side of things is we have this inner tube that I think is definitely worth saving.